crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to glitter tumblers using the Tack It method. So let's get started. So to get started with the Tack It method, let's talk about what you need. So first of all, you need to be using a holographic glitter. And holographic basically just means that it has kind of this rainbow sheen that you can see when you tilt it in different directions of the light. The only way to get the effect of the Tack It method is to use a holographic glitter. So if you use a regular glitter, you're just basically going to be glittering a tumbler just like the way that you normally would. And the other piece that you need that's really, really important is Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. So this is a repositional adhesive that we carry on 651vinyl.com, and that's what's gonna give us the ability to make our cup really, really super sparkly and beautiful. So I want you to keep those things in mind, and the first thing that we're going to do is set our glitter aside, and we're actually going to mix up a little solution with the Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. So similar to epoxy, we're going to mix Aleene's Tack It Over and Over with water in a 1-to-1 ratio. So that just means that we're going to mix the same amount of Tack It in the same amount of water together, and I like to do that in one of these little portion cups that I can put a lid on, because I always tend to overmix mine, so I'll have a little bit left over. And I will put it in this little container, and I can save it for a little while in case I want to use it for another tumbler. So I have one medicine cup here with 5 milliliters of water already. So I'm just going to open up my Tack It glue and put 5 milliliters of Tack It in there as well. So let's see, I always find it best to get an eye level with the medicine cup if you can. And then we're going to, you got to go super slow so that as the glue settles, you can kind of see where you're at with your measurements. And like I said, 5 milliliters is going to be more than enough, but I always like to overmix and have a little bit of extra because I always hate mixing a second time if I can avoid it. So I'd rather overmix than undermix, but you can pick whatever amount you like as long as they're equal. All right, so if we get eye level with this, it looks like that's about exactly 5 milliliters. So again, I have an equal 1-to-1 ratio of water and Aleene's Tack It Over and Over, and I'm just gonna put it in this little portion cup and mix it with a popsicle stick. These portion cups are a great little accessory to have if you're interested in making tumblers. I just bought it at like Walmart, I think. I bought it in like the snack aisle off of one of those little hanging displays. They're just 2-ounce portion cups with a lid. And those are really, really useful because anytime you're mixing epoxy and you've got too much for your medicine cup, the portion cup is just a little bit bigger, and having the lid is really nice also because you can label, whatever you're mixing so that if you want to go back and use it later, you know what it is. So I'm just going to mix it with my popsicle stick until it's all mixed up. And you'll see it kind of becomes, it kind of looks like one solution. When the glue and the water bind together, it looks very consistent throughout. And then once your Tack It is mixed up with your water, you're ready to move on to the next step. So I'm starting with a totally prepped tumbler. I will link the how to prep a tumbler video up in the corner of the screen if you're not sure how to prep a tumbler, because I did follow all of those normal steps. And I'm started with a spray painted base. I ended up deciding to use a gold holographic glitter on my Tack It cup, and so even though this is a champagne spray paint that I prepped it with, it's going to be a lot better and brighter than it would be if I used white spray paint as my base. Now you'll hear me say in my prep video that I prefer a white base for most things, and that's still true, but for this I do prefer a colored base because in case you miss any spots or anything like that, the color looks a lot better if you have another color that's the closest you can possibly get to the glitter underneath. So then I'm going to be using our little Tack It mixture that we made in the last step, and then I'm going to be using a really flat, really fine brush. You really don't want to get any brush strokes in your Tack It as you're painting it on your cup, so you want to try to keep that as smooth as possible. So I'm going to be using my tumbler arm here, and I'm going to just paint it all the way around. So I'm just going to make sure everything is really good and mixed up. And you'll see that it's gonna go onto our tumbler white, which is another benefit of having the spray paint base not being white, because you can definitely see that it's white, and then it's gonna dry clear. So that really helps. And so I'm gonna avoid brush strokes as much as I can as I paint all the way around my tumbler. And you wanna use a pretty thin coat of this Tack It mixture. You don't wanna lay a bunch on there. You wanna go pretty thin because you're not gonna need a whole lot. You'll be really surprised how well this method works and how easily the glitter sticks, even with not a lot of Tack It. A bottle of Tack It will last a really long time. So that's another good thing about this method, and it doesn't use very much glitter, which is really nice also. So another way that you could do this if you don't want to hold your tumbler arm is you can actually do it on your turner as you paint, so that you're holding it up off of the table. And then I'm just gonna go around and get rid of any of the brush strokes that I see, any of the areas at the top where it's kind of gathered a little bit. Okay, and then my Tack It is still a little white all the way around my cup, so I'm gonna put my cup on the turner for 10 to 15 minutes or so and make sure that the Tack It is completely dry before we move on to the next step. So once your Tack It has had a chance to dry, then you're gonna go ahead and start glittering. Now, if you start glittering and you have trouble getting your glitter to stick, you can always do a second layer of your Tack It mixture and let it dry again. But I have typically had luck with one layer and had no problems. So again, I'm gonna be using holographic glitter. In this case, I'm gonna be using Sunshine from Starcraft Glitter. So there's a couple different ways that you can glitter your tumbler. So you don't wanna use a ton of glitter, and you want it to fall a little bit slowly so you have a little bit of control. So if you have a shaker top, you can hold your shaker up a little higher and sprinkle from up higher, so you have a little more control over where your glitter goes. Or if you store your glitter in jars, or if you want even more control, you can use something like a tea strainer, like a tea diffuser. So all you have to do is open it up, put the glitter in there, and then you can kind of shake it on all the way around, and that's another great way to get a little more control over your glitter. So I'm just gonna use the shaker top on mine, but that's totally optional, and that's another choice that you have. I have mine on my actual turner because my arm got tired holding it in the last scene where I was painting the Tack It. So I'm gonna keep it on my turner and let my turner hold it while I glitter it. So I'm just gonna start by holding it up high and just sprinkling a little bit of glitter all the way down it before I turn it again. And one of the things I love about this method is how fast this is and how little glitter this takes. You're gonna see me waste very little glitter, which is always exciting for every glitter crafter. So once that side is good, then I will go ahead and turn my turner on and move to another side. So this is a different turner that I'm using than normal, and because I ordered a couple of turners off of Amazon, I'm going to be reviewing a couple of these turners for you guys and putting reviews up on my channel so that I can show you some turners that I recommend. One of your questions in one of my earlier videos is, what turner should I buy? And unfortunately, my double turner that I have used for most of my tumblers was from an Etsy shop that's no longer open. So that's why I decided to do a review on some Amazon ones, so hopefully they will be available a little bit longer. I see a little bit of a bare spot there. So that's another nice thing about using your turner arm, is you can really get a lot of perspective about if there's any spots that need more glitter or anything. So once the tumbler is fully glittered and everything, I'm just gonna use a clean finger. You can also use a glove finger if you would prefer. And you're just gonna start rubbing the glitter into that Tack It layer. And that's basically gonna force that glitter all to lay down in the same direction. The reason that regular holographic glitter is not this shiny is because it's going in a bunch of different directions. So when you rub it down with your finger, you're forcing it to lay down all in the same direction, and that's why you get the really intense rainbow sparkle that you see right here.
And any of those areas where you get like a little bit of clumping, it just usually means that you had your Tack It a little bit thicker right there. So you may have to be a little bit rough with it. I'm generally pretty gentle when I'm rubbing my glitter in, but those stubborn spots, you just gotta rub that extra glitter off and you're good to go. So I'm gonna speed up the rest of this glitter process while I'm rubbing it all in, and I'll let you guys watch it happen.
So now you can see just how amazing and sparkly my turner is now that I've laid down all my glitter in the same direction. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is you'll see kind of some spots where there's like a little bit of extra gathering. You can either go back with your finger and correct those spots, or you can also take a dry brush and just go back and get rid of some of those spots. So you wanna make sure that you have all your glitter lying totally flat before you move on to your next step. So after you're finished with all the glitter of the Tack It method, your next step is to go seal your tumbler with clear acrylic spray. And since epoxy needs to stick to a little bit of a textured surface, this is so smooth that I don't want your epoxy to run all over the place and reject this surface because it's so smooth. So adding a clear seal layer like this Rust-Oleum clear gloss or any kind of clear acrylic spray is a really great idea before you put on your decal and before you epoxy. But any brand will work, and you can find it anywhere that sells spray paint. So in the spray paint section of Walmart, Lowe's, or Home Depot will all have clear acrylic spray that you can use to seal your tumbler. Once that's dry, you can actually apply your decal straight to the clear acrylic sealer. You just need to make sure that you're not using super sticky transfer tape. And another tip that you can do so that you don't pull any glitter off your tumbler is you can stick your transfer tape to your shirt or to your table before applying it to your decal and then applying it to your tumbler so that you have less risk of pulling that glitter off when you remove your transfer tape. Then you can get away with just one coat of epoxy over top that decal, and unless you feel like you need something else, that's all the epoxy you have to do. So the Tack It method also saves you in a layer of epoxy if you'd like to do it that way too, which is another reason why I love to do it. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you click right here to subscribe to DIY Alex. Scroll down just a little bit and make sure that you ring the little bell notification. And from the drop-down menu, make sure that you select all notifications so that you never miss when I upload a new video. And if you post any of your Tack It tumblers on social media, I would love to see them. So I'm gonna put all my handles right here on the screen so that you can tag me if you post on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. I would love to see your work. I hope we can craft again soon.